UFC 308, Ilia Topuria puts Max Holloway on his ass for the first time ever. Absolutely crazy night, crazy events. And the one thing that I would ask is for the UFC not to put Alexander Volkanovski into the octagon with this guy, whether it be a stupid face-off last night or an actual future fight. I don't want to see it. I don't think anybody wants to see it.
It's got to be Alex Volkanovski next. That has to be the call. He deserves another crack.
Calm the f*** down.
I get it. Alexander Volkanovski is the guy. He does go up in weights. He does take fights on short notice. He is an extremely likable guy and he had an unbelievable run as the champion. But seeing what has happened to him in the last couple of fights, getting chinned and really in the aftermath of them fights looking like a broken man. And even last night, the desperation, and I don't want to use that word in a derogatory way towards Alexander Volkanovski, but talking about Australia, talking about Spain, but please UFC, make it happen soon. Please leave it happen soon because you know the way I get. And we saw him before almost break down at the idea of having to wait for a fight. He wanted to get back in there. And I do think we have to get to a stage where Dana White makes a decision and says, listen, you know what? It's not your time right now. There's other guys on the way up. Diego Lopez is sitting there in the arena last night. He could just as easily have jumped into the octagon and have a face-off with Ilia Topuria. In terms of Topuria, the guy's a beast. The guy is absolutely savage. He's brilliant on the ground. He's brilliant on the feet. But, and here's the big one where people will get upset because they don't like when you have an opinion about people. We saw this last night with Dana White. He said that Francis Ngannou isn't a nice guy and I don't like him. The internet has an absolute meltdown. We've got losers posting up videos of Dana hitting his wife. I guess you're just supposed to stand there and let people hit you to be a man or something like that. And because Francis has like a foreign accent and broken English and repeatedly broke the law by like invading countries and things like that, that we're supposed to feel sorry for him or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe prison would have been better for someone who broke the law 10 times over, but you're not allowed to dislike Francis. You have to dislike Dana. You're not allowed to have an opinion. All right, fair enough. That seems logical, right? I don't like Ilia Topuria. I think he's a rat. I think he's a little rat who's extremely annoying, extremely cocky. He's got the goods. There's no doubt about it. To see what he did last night to Max Holloway was fucking insane. It was absolutely insane. I didn't expect Max to win, but when he got in there and he was doing okay in the first and second round, he was keeping distance, he was actually landing, but the difference in power was just monumental. And I don't know who can go in there and do anything against him. Maybe the tenacity of Diego Lopez, maybe the chin on Diego Lopez, I don't know. I saw some people posting up that Yaya Rodriguez was the guy to go in there and get the job done. Maybe. Dustin Poirier wants a crack at Ilia Topuria or Max, but I think he was aiming it more towards Ilia Topuria because when you see his reaction in real time, he was watching it. He talked a lot about the boxing of Max and a lot about the boxing of Ilia Topuria and fancies himself as a decent boxer and fucking definitely is and definitely powerful. I don't know. Is that something that you'd like to see? Where would that happen? Would he come down to 145? Would Topuria go up? But Topuria's calling everybody out. Last night he wanted to fight, who do you want to fight? Conor McGregor? He wanted to fight Islam Makhachev. He was going to submit him in the first round. Volkanovski? I don't know. I don't know. He was fighting everybody last night. In terms of the cockiness that's always there when you have that sort of power and that sort of ability, it's just unlikable. It's very simple. He's extremely unlikable. Wearing the BMF belt, talking about how I took it from him and how could you promote Max as a BMF now? That's a bit weird and a bit cringe. I don't know if you can come away from last night without thinking that this is a little rat, right? I don't think so. Some reporter called him out, said that he wasn't from the street, which he isn't. He's like an immigrant who bounced out of a shithole country and took refuge in another country. Like the rest of them, you're not allowed to dislike them guys. I don't know what you're supposed to do then. But seeing Volkanovski jump into the octagon with him, seeing this bullshit face-off, seeing him in the aftermath, hogging the limelight, talking about Spain, Australia, just as long as it's not too far out. I'm just like, okay, who wants to see that? Honest to God, who wants to see it? Whether you think he deserves it or whether he's a good guy or a great fighter with a great legacy, that's a separate situation. In terms of moving the division forward, making exciting fights, do we want to wait 6-8 months to see that again? I don't want to do that. I want something interesting. I'd be interested in him jumping up fighting Makhachev. I'd be interested in Diego Lopez. I'd be interested in some sort of super fight with Dustin Poirier jumping in there fighting Ilia Topuria. Something interesting, something new, something moving us forward, something to get excited about. If it's announced that Volkanovski is next in line for the title shot against Ilia Topuria, I'm just like, whatever, man. Get the fuck out of here. Crazy night, crazy card. Really enjoyed it, though, to be honest with you. Khamzat Chimaev absolutely did it. He absolutely got in there and smoked Robert Whittaker in the first round. He said he was going to do it. He was backing himself all the way. Many people were betting against him, but it didn't work out for him last night. He got in there and did it in extreme fashion. Like the pictures that we're seeing and the outcome of what he did with that rear naked crank, it was just insane. Snapped that jaw clean off. And as you know, again, very opinionated, very controversial, I don't like Robert Whittaker. I don't like anything about him. He's a wokester. Not interested in that stuff. To see him go in there with the confidence and with the backing of the community and all the commentators and all the ex-fighters thinking that he was going to go in there and smoke Khamzat and bring him into deep waters and all that sort of trash, got mauled in the first round. It was delicious. And to be honest with you, what made it so delicious was, one, a wokester getting his jaw snapped. Awesome. But secondly, the week of promotion that we see Khamzat Chimaev doing was incredible. He talked about his mental health and his mental struggles. He talked about his young kid having an operation. He seemed very quiet. A lot of people were saying that this was a bad thing. It turned out to be a savage thing, and you love to see it. So all the best for him going forward right there. I don't know whether he's going to get a title shot off the back of this. I know that Sean Strickland was having an absolute meltdown online saying that I'm next in line for Drickus, get the fuck out of here. And you know how I felt about that whole Drickus and Sean Strickland fight. Loved Drickus, but I do think that Sean edged that fight, so that belt was taken off of him because of his opinions. But saying that his next fight against Paulo Costa was a snore fest, and does that warrant a title shot? I don't know. It's all very vague and very nuanced. Does Khamzat leapfrog him? Does Khamzat jump in there and get a shot at the title? I'd actually love to see Khamzat Chimaev fighting Drickus du Plessis. I think it'd be an insanely interesting fight. I don't know whether Khamzat could go in there and ragdoll Drickus the way he did Robert Whittaker, but I'd fucking love to see it, and that's for sure. Rest of the main card I really enjoyed. Ankalaev against Rakic, that was a good fight. I think Rakic's strategy left him down. He was trying to stay on the outside, circle around and kick continuously, not too much output with the hands. Ankalaev looked great, and I think he looked even better on the feet than I imagined, because when you talk about that upcoming fight with Poatan, people are like, oh my god, he won't be able to stay on the feet, he's going to take it to the ground. I think he did extremely well last night against a bigger guy. I think that would be an awesome fight, and I'd look forward to seeing that one in the future as well. Lerone Murphy, Dan Ige, I enjoyed the fight. It was extremely close. It was 1-1 going into the third round, and I think Murphy did enough to get it over the line for himself. Fair play to him. I think that comeback in the second round, maybe, where he actually got dropped, he got some serious ground and pound put on him and survived. I like that. I thought it was a really good performance from him, and fair play to him. So that was a really awesome fight. Feel a little bit bad for Dan Ige because I really like that dude. He's awesome. Sharabulit Magomedov, the pirate himself, versus Petrosyan. Absolutely cool, awesome fight. I like this guy. A double spinning back fist. Have we ever seen that before? It was ridiculous. And what was even more ridiculous is that we actually saw him practicing it right before the fight. It was so crazy. Absolutely ridiculous knockout. I like the guy's style, man. I like the guy's style. When people are like inside that pocket area where they're almost like nose to nose, this guy can throw a high kick. It's weird and bizarre, and it works. The output was awesome. The haircut was absolutely ridiculous, but class. And yeah, I really like that guy. And listen, great card last night. Really enjoyed it. So I guess the biggest two questions coming out of this: who do we want to see fighting Topuria next? Is it Volkanovski? Is it Diego Lopez? Is it Dustin Poirier? Is it Islam Makhachev? Who do you want to see fight Topuria? Who do you want to see silence that little rat? Khamzat Chimaev, does he jump the queue? Does he get the next title shot versus Drickus du Plessis? And if he does, who wins that? Does he become the champion? Does he have the potential to go on and be the three-weight champion like the big bad Bubba said himself, Brendan Schaub? Let me know your thoughts down below, and maybe hit like, subscribe and share if any of it made sense. Cheers.